Okay, it's 6:04, and I'll be calling this meeting to order. Roll call.
Nereida Cantu present.
Armin Garza present.
Alda Benavides present.
Alex Cantu present.
Mary Hernandez present.
Dr. Science, I do declare a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Up next, we have public comments. I believe we have one public comment.
I believe we do have a public comment, a spokesperson from Lupe, La Unión del Pueblo Entero.
What was the name of him?
I'm sorry,
You can speak into the microphone.
public,
What was his name?
I don't have a name.
Buenas tardes, señora. Parece que el abogado le explicó, tiene 3 minutos. En ningún momento la mesa directiva puede comunicarse o contestarle. Él va a tomar el tiempo, cuando ya le falte 1 minuto le va a dar el aviso para que pueda dar término. ¿Ok? Puede comenzar cuando usted quiera.
Ok.
Gracias.
Buenas tardes, me llamo Imelda Olvera, vengo de la colonia Eduardo V. Mi preocupación es que mis hijos vayan a regresar a la escuela y aún no están vacunados. Los he tenido en casa por 1 año y medio sin sacarlos. Van a regresar a la escuela y pues ellos no van a seguir las indicaciones porque son niños. Mi niño tiene 10 y 7 años y pues no saben de distanciamiento social, ni casi de usar cubrebocas ni nada porque pues los he tenido conmigo todo este tiempo. Estuvieron conmigo, yo les estuve dando clase en casa y por internet con la maestra, con el apoyo de los maestros y salieron bien, con muy buenas calificaciones los dos. Yo pienso que si me los ponen así por internet estaría perfecto, yo los tendría resguardados en mi casa y estaría bien porque en realidad es un trabajo de los maestros y mío también, pero yo los siento más seguros en mi casa, porque en la escuela cuando vayan a comer o vayan al baño o algo, ¿cómo van a hacer para distanciar a niños? ¿Cómo van a entender los niños como, oh, no puedo acercarme a otro niño, no puedo, tengo que quitarme el cubrebocas o tengo que ponérmelo o tengo que ponerme gel antibacterial en las manos? O ¿cómo van a entender ellos? Ellos no entienden porque son niños. Y los niños más pequeños son los que precisamente no están vacunados, que son los que corren más riesgo. Para mi punto de vista, corren más riesgo. Hay personas que no van a mandar a sus hijos a la escuela, que dicen yo los dejo en casa. Pues sí, y luego, ¿y la educación también? Tampoco los podemos dejar en casa porque tampoco nos lo permiten. Entonces, ¿qué vamos a hacer? ¿Cómo? Esa es mi preocupación y la preocupación de muchas personas, muchas. Ok, para mí lo más importante son los niños, no sé para ustedes, me imagino que muchos no van a mandar a sus hijos a la escuela porque les preocupan, porque es lo más importante para nosotros. Yo necesito, por favor, de su ayuda para que mis hijos tomen clases en línea en casa. Yo me comprometo a ayudarlos, a apoyarlos, a que saquen buenas calificaciones. Gracias.
Gracias, señora. Was it that right?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Next guy, can I take a motion for approval of the tax collector?
So move.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next be the approval minutes. Let's go items 1, 2, and 3. If I can obtain a motion.
Mr. Salinas, the approval of the minutes have to be approved with corrections.
Okay. If whoever does a motion can do the motion with the corrections.
I move to approve minutes with corrections, items number 1, 2, and 3.
I have a motion by Dr. B.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Cantu. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes, and I pass it on to you, Dr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. The first item is recognition of 21st Century CCLC Cycle 10 Director, Janeth Leal for being the recipient of the Texas ACE Strategic Interest Committee Award recognition during the 2020-2021 school year. Mr. Martin Munoz, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, will do this award.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. President, Coach Salinas, Madam Superintendent, Dr. Science, Board of Trustees, distinguished guests, and members of the community. We thank you for the opportunity that you've given us this afternoon to recognize Ms. Janeth Leal. Ms. Leal is our Texas ACE Program Director. And we're proud to announce that Ms. Leal was recognized by Westat, that is her Project ACE Technical Advisor, for the great work and contributions she has provided Texas ACE Strategic Interest Committee during this past school year. Ms. Janeth Leal, who is currently joining us virtually, so we celebrate and congratulate Ms. Leal for her recognition. Thank you.
That concludes the superintendent's report, Mr. Salinas.
Okay, next up we have discussion items presentation on the delinquent tax collections for the 2020-21 school year.
For this item, we have Mr. Hiram Gutierrez from Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott.
Good evening, President Salinas, Dr. Science, and honorable members of the board. For the record, my name is Hiram Gutierrez. I'm a partner with Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott, your delinquent tax attorneys. And I'm here presenting you your delinquent tax report for the first 10 months of 2020-2021, that being September 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. Our program for LJISD is centered on working with the taxpayers to collect their delinquent taxes, your delinquent taxes. To that end, our local call center has conducted over 6,800 contacts with local taxpayers. We also conduct mass mailings and specialized mailings. During this period, we have conducted over 1,500 letters to your delinquent taxpayers, informing them of their delinquency and asking them to contact us so we can resolve their delinquent tax problem. Another important tool that we have in helping collect your delinquent taxes is property inspections. That is, we actually go to the site, the property, or the business. During this period, we have conducted over 400 property inspections at Lahoya ISD. Once we contact your delinquent taxpayers, they're not always able to pay in full. So when that happens, we enter into payment agreements with the delinquent taxpayers. During this period, we have entered into 121 payment agreements involving over $322,000 in base tax owed to the school district. We always reserve litigation as a last resort in collecting your delinquent taxes. During this period, we have filed 154 lawsuits or interventions involving over $1.8 million in base tax owed to Lahoya ISD. Once we take a judgment in a tax suit, we still try to work with the taxpayer. We go out and put signs at the property. We try to contact the taxpayers. And the reason we do this is because once we put up a property up for tax sale, there's additional costs that are incurred, such as the sheriff's deeds and the notice of tax sale. So we try to avoid that. I mean, usually those costs alone are probably about $750 in additional costs. So we try to do everything we can to avoid putting a property up for tax sale. But unfortunately, when all those efforts do not have the desired effect, we do proceed to tax sale. And during this period, we have put up 26 properties up for tax sale. The result of those 26 properties, 18 were actually paid in full, involving over $76,000 in base tax owed to the school district. And 7 of those properties were struck off. That is, no winning bid was received, so the property became property of the taxing entities, the school district, the city, the county, etc. And the properties that were struck off, that was what was owed to the school district was over $71,000 in base tax. We also represent you in bankruptcies. During this period, we filed 8 proof of claims on behalf of the school district involving over $720,000 in base tax owed to the school district. Of course, all our efforts are geared to one goal, and that is to collect your delinquent taxes. And the result of all those efforts was that during this period, these 10 months, we have collected $2,342,000 in base tax owed to the school district, and an additional $907,000 in base tax owed to the school district, for a total of $3,250,000 for the school district. The last graph in the presentation is the comparison from the same period last fiscal year to this fiscal year. As you can see, during this period, on the bar graph on the right, the collections are at 28.44% of the total delinquent levy owed to the school district, compared to the same period last year at 23.24%, or an increase of 5.20% in the delinquent tax collections for the school district. And at this point, I'd like to open it up for any questions that you might have.
Anybody have any questions, guys?
Just a comment, it's great that we had an increase in the collections, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Benavides.
Anybody else, guys? Thank you so much, Ram, for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one more item on the agenda. I think it's number 17, so I'll hang around here for to be called.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for the record, Ms. Ochoa arrived at our meeting at 6:11 p.m.
Thank you, Dr. Sainz.
Excuse me, Mr. President. I would like items 8 through 19 in business and finance taken off consent agenda. I would like for somebody to give us an update.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. I was about to do that. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take the motion for the rest of the consent, and then when we come back, guys, we'll go ahead and do those items together as well. So can I have a motion for the rest of the consent? It was items 8 through, you said?
It was
8 through 19.
C, H
I'd like
through
to make a
19.
motion to approve all items in consent agenda, minus items 8 through 19 in tabulation C, business and finance.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Garza. Can I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor, you can by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. At this time, Dr. Sainz. I think it's Mr. Villarreal. That's going to be for the
For
other
each
items.
of those consent items?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we have to come back to those.
But we'll come to them when they,
Well,
Or we could do the others in the order that they're in, and when we get
So
to
then you wanna
those,
come back? Okay,
he can
all right.
come back. Yes.
can we, legal, we can do that?
Start with, which would be that we start with
We
item
pulled-
A.
Yeah.
13.
We pulled some items from consent, so we're going to go on and finish up the agenda, but before we go into executive session, that's what you're saying, Doc?
Or as we get to those items on the agenda, then we'll have the discussion on them. So let's start with A13, Mr.
Mr.
Salinas.
President, under tab A, items 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, I move for approval.
I have a motion by Mr. Garza for items 13 through 17. Can I take a second?
second.
And a second by Dr. B. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. Moving on to letter B, bids, and that is number 13. Discussion and action to renew self-funded employee insurance benefit plans, CSP 2020-60. Can I entertain a motion? This is to renew, guys.
So moved.
So moved.
I have a motion. Can I take a
Second.
And a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Number 14 under letter B, bids. Discussion and action to continue all employee voluntary insurance benefits plan CSP for an additional year or authorize administration to solicit RFPs for all voluntary health products. Can I entertain a motion?
I entertain a motion, but I do have a question.
Okay.
Did we go out for bids on this?
No, ma'am. We didn't go out for bids. When we approved the contract, we approved it for a 2-year contract. That's why we're saying, do we continue with it, or if the board prefers to go out for bids, we would do that.
Have we tried negotiating our prices? Just because as I was reviewing the binder, I saw that some of the prices were pretty high.
Yeah, no, we have not tried negotiating with them.
Can we have a motion to negotiate some of the prices?
I don't know, but it depends on the motion you're gonna make, Ms. Ochoa. Are you either
Can we get some?
legal? Because it's either saying to go out for new or to renew, so.
Well,
We can't hear you guys.
well, it's a continuation contract.
Right.
So I would like them to do some negotiations.
Try to negotiate, okay.
So that would be the basis of your
When we originally
motion.
approved this contract, we approved it for a 2 year, so we're going to go into the second year, but we're deciding if the board would like for us to go out and request new bids, we could, or as Ms. Ochoa is stating, we could go out and negotiate, depends on what
Just because the
direction.
prices were so high.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so then you're pushing to renegotiate? So then it's actually, we're gonna have to bring it back, right? Am I correct? Okay, so I have a motion by Ms. Ochoa. All those in favor?
But, yeah, I think we need to clarify if we're actually doing RFPs or just negotiating the current prices. I just want us to make sure we're clear on it.
Well, I don't,
And can it be done because it's written,
The way it's written, I think that you would have to either
go out for
continue
new or yeah,
rebid all of them.
or rebid, so, because it doesn't say about renegotiation.
So the
what was that, Dr. B? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm saying that the way it's written, it says for an additional year or solicit RFPs for all voluntary items. So we have to do either one of those.
I would agree with that, and if we do, I mean, the current providers could submit a bid if the board does go that route. I mean, if to negotiate with them, I don't know how motivated they would be to negotiate if they still have their agreement. But I mean, we could definitely try if that's what the board wants us to do. But nothing would prohibit these same providers to submit a bid if the board decides to solicit bids.
Yeah, but the way it's written, so it has to be either new or
And if y'all tell us to renew or to continue, I'm sure Mr. Trevino will go and try and get a better prices either way. But yeah, I agree with Dr. Benavides that we have to either continue or go out for, or authorize the administration to get
because I
bids.
had a motion and a second, so does it die here or do I have to take a vote? Because we can't do that.
Well, if you take a vote, it's essentially just moving forward with the agreement, and we're just gonna go and try to get better prices for the employees with the same providers. And nothing's gonna guarantee that they agree to that.
Okay, so if that's what your motion's gonna be, so I can take a vote, but that means that it will only be the one that has it now.
Yeah, so,
That doesn't tell you that they're gonna give you a lower price, am I correct then?
yeah, nothing would guarantee it. I mean,
Versus if you go out for new, other people, even themselves, they can try to renegotiate, so.
yes, there would be competition, in other words, so.
Because of the wording.
The only thing is that it's a 2-year contract that we're going to RFQs before the end of the contract.
I think you asked if there is a contract, sir? Because I could barely hear you. Yes, there is we're in the middle of a 2-year contract. This is the end of the first year. However, in checking with Mr. Trevino, there is a 30-day termination clause. So
Yes, there's only, I'm sorry, there's only 2 that require a 31-day notice. The others, it could be at any time.
Do we
Yeah,
have
but
time?
the whole idea about getting new quotes or new bids is to see if the pricing can come down, guys. I mean, that's the whole idea. That's why we're here.
Do we have time to go out and bid it?
Yes, ma'am, we do, because the voluntary products do not become effective until December 1st.
Okay.
We would have to get the RFP ready and before the open enrollment, which will start in mid-October.
So then we either go new, Mr. Chola, or that's what your motion is, so I can take it to a vote.
Well, I mean, I would like to get better prices, and I don't want to deal with, but it does say here or, so, I mean, if we haven't bid, I mean, I would like to go out and bid and see if we can get better prices.
So you're changing your motion. Mr. Cantu, are you still seconding that? Okay, I have a motion to go out for new bids, which also allows the present one or the present that are here to also bring in a bid. And I have a second by Mr. Cantu. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Number 15 under letter B, bids approval of furniture district-wide quotation 2022-801 through Furniture and Decor RFP 2018-58 and RFP 2021-51.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cantu
Second.
and a second by Dr. Benavides. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, motion passes. We shall continue going on 20, Doc?
Yes.
Okay.
So now we're going to number 8 under C.
Okay, and that's where Mrs. Hernandez has
Yes.
Okay, so I guess now, Mr. Villarreal, you have the podium.
Sure, so on item 8, for substantial completion on the job order contract for fences and gates, walkthroughs and inspections were made, and owner representatives that were involved to verify the installation was complete and 100%. Punch list items have been addressed, and minor tweaking has been done to more the gates than the fences. So to answer that question on item 8, for the approval, yes, they have been, and they are 100%. Warranty will ensue for 1 year from May the 31st of 21 to May the 30th of 2022 for 32 campuses.
What was the question?
I'm going over the approval and the approval on question number.
No, I know, but what was the question on that?
The question, I was asked to come up and go over.
I don't think it was a question, it was just to give us like a final summary of that completion, the completion of that job.
Since a lot of them already say final payment, it's just like, okay, is everything finished?
Because I knew.
Do we have warranty? And we do have warranty. And
Yes, so I in brief, Dr. Benavides, and excuse me for not being.
It's not your fault. I just thought you were answering a question, and I didn't know what the question was.
Yeah, I'm just in depth, going a little bit in depth, just to give you all an overview of this project that's been going on for about 4 years now. So that was a substantial completion for the job order contract, and we are 100% complete.
So it's 100% and we have warranty for 1 year. We're good to go.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Now we just need to start the school year.
Yes, sir.
Also move to approve.
Second.
Sure.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Next. That's number 9, Mr.
Okay.
We're gonna go all the way down.
Are there any details or questions that we need to, that are on the floor? So if there aren't any questions, I'll just go ahead and, with your permission, Dr. Science, and forgive me for thank you all for giving me the time and for being up here, Mr. President, and the rest of the board as well. Dr. Science, I skipped that part as well. So.
Wait, Ms. Hernandez, do you have any more questions? Because I believe you had a question.
No,
Okay,
there's no question. I just, like I said, I just wanted for all of us to know exactly where we stand with all these projects that we had.
Okay.
I think it was more. I think it was more like Dr. Science said, just an update since we haven't heard from these.
And I can,
projects.
if you all are okay with it, I have a little update on to brief you and make you aware, and so that you all and the community can be informed.
Okay, so then we'll go all the way to the 13th. Huh?
So the question would be, what's the status on the solar array project?
Right.
Correct. There you go. Thank you.
Right.
So the status on both the Juarez Lincoln and the Lahoya, thank you, Mr. Choa. Solar array panels are already connected and they are on the grid. Reports indicate that the installation is complete.
Okay, so.
Lahoya LJISD employees, more so the operations department, can log on in real time and view how much energy is being generated. At the end of each year, a report of the energy savings will be generated as required by the energy savings contract. And then, of course, there is also a portal system for the solar array in case there are issues that come up, so we can address these issues in real time if and when they come up, and hopefully they will not come up for many months, many years.
Mr. Villarreal, just so we can just go through all of them, me and Dr. Science believe that we'll read each one of them and just say a little bit of each one of them, and then the board members can vote. That way it'll stay on the record like that, okay? Sure. So we're going to start now with number 9, which is the approval and acceptance of the substantial completion of the Lahoya LJISD Phase 2 of Psja Guaranteed Energy Savings Performance Contract Amended Project Lahoya Juarez Lincoln High School Array Project.
Okay, so.
That's information Mr. Villarreal just provided.
Yes.
So move to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Jolla. Can I obtain a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay, I guess moving on to number 10, guys. Approval of application for payment of engineering fees, number 1, for Lahoya SD Athletic Sports Field Lighting Project.
So move.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes.
Can we know a little bit of how that's going on? I mean,
Sure.
what stage are we in right now?
Sure, the scope of work is 80% complete, and all equipment has been assembled, and when we say equipment, the equipment has been brought in by the contractor, and so all of it has been inspected and is assembled. Installation will begin on Monday, August 2nd, and the panel boxes are currently being installed as we speak at the stadium. The new lighting fixtures will be elevated to the light post beginning next week on Monday, weather permitting.
Thank you.
So we will have lights before the football games begin, weather permitting.
Excellent. So move to approve.
Okay, I already have a motion and a second for that one. I'll move on to number 11, approval of the application and certificate of payment of contractor's fee number 1 for the athletic sports field project that I already read. I'm sorry about that, guys. Approval of application and certificate of payment contractor fees number 1 for the Lahoya football stadium turf and track renovations project.
So for number 11, we can just approve because he just presented that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that's why I move to approve.
Yes.
Okay. And then
Second.
now we're at number 12. Okay, all those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes, and now we're at number 12. Any questions there for number 12?
Are we gonna have that ready also?
Excuse me, are we gonna have
The turf and the track?
Yes, the turf and the lighting, the lights. The turf and the lights should be in our schedule to be placed before the first football game of the season. And the track will begin in November. The replacement of the track will begin in November, and the projected timeline is to end in January. So by the end of January, when track season starts, LJISD our students will, and our community will have a turf, lights, and track.
I have a question, Mr. Villarreal. On the turf, they replaced what was damaged, or we replaced the whole?
On the turf?
Yes.
The whole turf is being replaced.
So what do we do with the turf that's?
It is currently being stored here at behind the warehouse on the east side of the stadium, and we're gonna get with legal and the engineer as to how to further proceed.
It'd be nice to do a middle school football field with that turf, because I know it's very well taken care of.
Well, with your all's permission, and we're gonna get with our legal and our engineers to further. So if you all recommend, we will do what we can.
Or a practice field for La Jolla, since,
Yeah.
Perfect.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Villarreal.
Mr. Villarreal, and you're saying it'll be ready before the first game?
Yes, weather permitting. Yes, the schedule is okay.
That's
What is
awesome.
gonna be ready are the turf, and the lights will be ready for football season for our community.
That's
And our Coyotes and our Huskies and our Lobos. And the track will be ready in January for track season.
So based on the presentation, I move to approve item 12.
Second.
And a motion and a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. And number 13, approval of the application payment engineer's fees number 1 for the renovations of the Palmview High School cooling tours replacement project. Can you say a little bit, any questions on that, guys?
Are there any updates on this?
For 13, 14, 15, and 16, I have Mr. Joe Villarreal, who has been handling these projects in the Palmview area. So let me give the floor to Mr. Villarreal.
Thank you, Mr. Villarreal. Good evening, Mr. Board President, Dr. Science, members of the board. Just to give you a quick summary on these projects, on number 13, the Palmview High School cooling towers, the engineer has completed the drawings and specifications, and we have gone out for bids. We received the bids, and we brought the highest ranked bidder on a previous board meeting. So this item here that we have further on the agenda is to approve the best and final from the company, from the contractor. Sorry. And after they get approved, then we'll go ahead and get the contract signed, and we can go ahead and begin the project. This project is more or less, is going to take about 120 days more or less to complete. So what we have planned, just so you all know, because I know school's going to start already is we're gonna included in the project is a rental for chillers, portable chillers that are gonna, portable air-cooled chillers that are gonna provide the AC for the school while they do the renovations or the replacement of the towers. So the school is gonna have AC throughout, the project.
Any questions, guys, on number 13?
I move to approve item number 13.
I have a motion by Dr. B.
Second.
And a second. Those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Number 14, Mr. Arias. Any questions there, guys? And I need to read. Approval of application payment, architectural fees, number 1 for LJISD Kika de la Garza Elementary School Roof and Interior Renovation Project. It's real good when you won't consent because you don't have to read. Any questions on number 14, guys?
Maybe just give us an update, Mr.
Yes,
Villarreal.
sure. So at Kika, it's the same thing. We're at the same stage as the Palmview High School towers. We have received bids, and there's an item here further in the agenda to approve the highest ranked bidder as well. And this project is, the timeline they're giving us is about 90 days to complete.
When are they slated to start?
To start, as soon as the contract, as soon as if this item gets approved and the contracts get signed, we issue a notice to proceed, and they'll begin right after that.
Okay. Any more questions, guys?
I move to approve item number 14.
Motion by Dr. Benavides.
A second.
And a second as well. Those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Now, number 15, approval of application of payment for architectural fees, number 1 for LJISD Guillermo Flores Elementary Roof Renovation Projects.
Are we doing the whole roof there or just the section?
For Flores?
Yes, for Flores.
For Flores, we are doing a re-roof. It's I'm sorry, not a re-roof, an overlay over the existing roof, but there will be some modifications to the existing roof. There's some skylights that are gonna get discontinued, and we're gonna put something over it, because I know the skylights were giving us some issues as well. And just to give you a quick update on this one at Flores, there is an item here as well for Flores. We received bids. It's a little bit further behind Flores, but we did receive bids, and we ranked the bidders. So there's an item here to approve the highest ranked bidder and to allow us to negotiate.
When there's an overlay, do they check like for moisture and the roof? Just because we've had so many issues with that campus in the past, and we've done.
There was some borings that were done by the architect, and they determined that the roof was in a good condition, and it was a good candidate for an overlay.
It was in good condition?
Yeah. Well, the roof itself, the layers of the roof, everything. There was no moisture, minimal moisture in certain areas that are going to get taken care of with this project as well.
I have a recommendation. This is just me. Maybe, I know that we have a 7-year plan to remodel schools. Maybe we need to do the same for the roofs, because, roofs with time, if we maintain them, maybe we won't run into this problem as much. Every 7 years, every school look into the roofs. Because at the end of the day, we still have to maintain them. Maybe that'll at the long run, to save us some money.
Yeah, we do have like a little capital improvement sheet that we're working on that includes HVAC, roofs, parking lots, just the major things that we have issues with, so that we can create a plan and maybe yearly start working on these schools.
Thank you.
And we'll bring that plan up at an upcoming meeting for or a work session, either a discussion or work session.
Are we moving our students, Dr. Sainz, from there?
I'm sorry, Ms. Hernandez, I didn't hear your question.
Are we moving our students from Flores?
Our students at Flores Elementary are going to be housed at Leo Elementary until the work is completed.
Okay. Do we have like an estimate time, how long that would be?
Is there an estimated timeline, Mr. Villarreal?
I'm sorry?
On the work at Flores Elementary?
It's also 90 days. 90 days. And it includes a roof and some interior remodeling that we're going to have to do, some walls.
Thank you.
So move to approve item number 15.
I have a motion by Dr. Benavides.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Next, be number 16, approval of the application of Contractors Final Payment Request number 25 for the LJISD Job Order Contract with Performance Services Incorporated Elementary School Tracks and security gates. Any questions there, guys? If there's no questions, can I obtain a motion?
So move.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Number 17, approval of application of contractor's final payment request number 28 for the LJISD Phase 2 of the Psja Guaranteed Energy Savings Performance Contract Amendment Project. Any questions? Number 17. No questions? If no questions, can I obtain a motion?
So move.
I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Also opposed, motion passes. Sorry guys, my mouth is a little bit dry. Okay, number 18, approval of the application of contractor's final payment, request number 29 for the LJISD Phase 2 of the Psja Guaranteed Energy Savings Performance Contract Amendment Project. Any questions?
What was the amendment?
That was the name of the project, Dr. Benavides. Okay, so there was a job order contract, and then it was the energy savings contract for Phase 1, and Phase 2 just became amendment. So we had that same question several times, but it was just.
So there was no amendment to the contract?
But that's how it was named.
Just how it was named?
Correct.
Kind of like an
Good
extension.
question. Yes, ma'am.
So it's phase 1.
Excuse me?
It's phase 1?
2.
They
Phase
added two.
phase 1 and Phase 2.
They added.
The one previous was one. Okay, and I take a motion guys for number 18?
So move.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Number 19, approval of the application of contractor payment request number 1 for the construction of the Juarez Lincoln High School press box through contract number 170801. Any questions, guys?
So moved.
I have a motion for Cantu
Second.
and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Any questions? And that one, guys? If not, we're moving on to number 20. Discussion and possible action on the ranking competitive seal proposals for the LJISD Guillermo Flores Elementary roof renovation project.
I'd like to make a motion from items 20 to 26.
I have a motion from 20 to 26. Can I obtain a second?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. And we
For
move
number
on.
26, we have to say who.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
25 and 26.
25 and 26. So you went actually to number 24.
Yes, I'll
Well,
go ahead and
20
amend my motion to.
Well, 26 is okay because there's only one person, but 25, there's 2 people, so we just have to say which one. You can leave your motion as is, we just need to name the person.
I'll leave my motion as is and any recommendation from the board.
Anybody have any names?
If you guys are okay, we have it, we can choose between Ricardo Pedrosa and Roberto Perez. Ricardo Pedrosa is from Psja and the other one, Perez, is from Donna ISD.
So the motion's made, guys, as long as we can add the name to it. That'll take us all to 26.
So whatever your preference is.
When you buy the vote.
Anybody locally?
Well, let's just go with Roberto Perez, Donna
From
ISD.
Donna, I guess.
Is that okay? We add to that motion? Okay, I
I
have a
don't know
motion.
either one, I'm just saying.
Okay, I have a motion and I do have a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. Under letter E, number 2, public hearing regarding payment in excess of contract amount for police department captains. Doc, can you say a little bit about that, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Salinas. We did review the salaries for position of police captain, and after comparing it to nearby districts, we did find that we needed to make an adjustment in the amount that is shown there. I do want to say also that according to the TASB review, that we did all other positions in the police department are at market value. That includes police officers and security guards. The position of police captain were the ones that were not within market, and that's why we're making this recommendation.
So moved to approve.
I'd like to, and I'll second that, but I'd like to bring back and see how much our lieutenants and our sergeants are making comparable to our surrounding districts, just because I know that a couple of years ago, our captains did get a stipend. I know they're not what they need to be, but I haven't heard about our lieutenant and our sergeant, how they are in comparison. So I'd like to see them be also.
Okay.
Yes.
And also the last time they got did you ask, last time they got a stipend?
That was the
I haven't. I don't remember when was the last time a lieutenant or the sergeants received a stipend of any sort. So I'd like to see that.
We'll bring those to you. We'll bring the
Yes.
amounts.
Let's do a review on the department.
Okay, so I have a motion. Can I take a second, guys?
I second that.
Okay, and Mr. Jolla second that, but at this time, guys, because it's a public hearing, I need to open it up at 6:44. If there's any questions from the public. I'll go ahead and open for about a minute if anybody has any questions. Okay, it's 6:45, guys. At this time, under sections code 551071, 551072, and 551074, at 6:45, we go into executive session. Okay, it's 8:07, and we are out of executive session under letter H, personnel.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion for items 1 through 9, approved as discussed in executive session on the tabulation H.
I have a motion by Mr. Garza. Can I take a second? And a second by Dr. Benavides. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes, and just a motion for adjournment. So moved.
I do want to make, just for the record, Mr. President, I don't agree with item number 7. I don't believe in reclassifying or doing additional positions. Just like I said, just for the record.
Okay, Naga, you can do that for the record. Okay, so with that being taken, I have a motion for the adjournment.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
And I take a second.
Second.
And a second. At that time, 8:08, meeting adjourned.